Welcome to the Conscious Insight podcast, where we explore the frontiers of conscious science, philosophy, and the nature of reality itself. Here from Temple University in Philadelphia, coming to you live, because I'm recording this right now, to myself. All right, I'm your host, Katy Lily Rossland, and today we're diving into the fascinating world of consciousness science, with a special focus on the groundbreaking work of Dr. Bernardo Kastrup. Whether you're a curious skeptic, a philosopher, or someone just trying to make sense of what it means to be aware, this episode is for you. So grab a cup of tea, settle in, and let's explore the mysteries of the mind together. Let's set the stage. Consciousness is one of the most profound mysteries of our time. Scientists, philosophers, and even neuroscientists are grappling with what's called the hard problem of consciousness. How does a 3-pound lump of brain tissue give rise to subjective experience? No one quite got the complete answer just yet, but scientists are asking harder questions. The smell of rain, the pang of love, the vividness of a dream. How do these emerge from neurons firing? The state of consciousness science today is a battleground of ideas. On one hand, you've got materialists who argue consciousness is entirely a product of physical processes in the brain. Think of it like a super complex computer outputting experience. On the other hand, there's a growing wave of thinkers challenging this view, suggesting consciousness might be fundamental, not just a byproduct of matter, but perhaps the very foundation of reality. This brings us to Dr. Bernardo Kastrup, a philosopher and computer scientist whose work is shaking up the conversation. Kastrup argues for a metaphysical framework called analytic idealism, which flips the materialist paradigm on its head. Instead of matter creating mind, he posits that consciousness is primary, and the physical world is a manifestation of it. Mind-blowing, right? Let's dive into his ideas and see what they mean for consciousness science. So, who is Bernardo Kastrup, and why is his work so compelling? Kastrup has a PhD in computer engineering and philosophy, and he's written extensively on metaphysics and consciousness. His key idea, analytic idealism, suggests that reality is fundamentally mental. Picture this. The universe isn't a collection of physical objects floating in space. It's more like a dream in the mind of a universal consciousness. Now, before you think this sounds like woo-woo, Kastrup's approach is rigorous and grounded in logic. He draws from philosophy, neuroscience, and even quantum mechanics to argue that consciousness is the only thing we can be certain of. As Descartes famously said, "I think, therefore I am." Kastrup takes this further, suggesting that everything we perceive, trees, stars, your morning coffee, is an expression of consciousness, not independent stuff out there. Let's break down his core argument. Kastrup says the material world is like a dashboard of dials and gauges, representing something deeper, universal consciousness. When you see a tree, you're not seeing the tree itself, but a representation of it in your mind, filtered through your senses. This aligns with neuroscience, which shows that what we experience is a brain-constructed model of reality, not reality itself. Kastrup's big claim is that this universal consciousness is all there is. Matter, as we think of it, doesn't exist independently. Instead, the physical world is what consciousness looks like when observed from a particular perspective. Like a dream looks real when you're in it. He uses the metaphor of a whirlpool in a stream. The whirlpool, you, me, the physical world, is distinct but not separate from the stream, universal consciousness. This challenges mainstream science, which assumes matter is primary. Kastrup points out that materialism struggles to explain the hard problem of consciousness. If the brain generates consciousness, why can't we find the exact mechanism? Why does anesthesia turn off experience but not all brain activity? Kastrup argues these gaps suggest materialism is incomplete, and idealism offers a simpler, more elegant explanation. Okay, so Kastrup's ideas are bold. But what do they mean for consciousness science? For one, they shift the focus from studying the brain as a consciousness generator to exploring how consciousness expresses itself through physical systems. This could inspire new research, like studying altered states, meditation, psychedelics, or near-death experiences, to understand how consciousness operates beyond the brain. His work also has practical implications. If consciousness is fundamental, it might reshape how we think about mental health, artificial intelligence, or even ethics. For example, if everything is part of one universal mind, harming others is like harming yourself. A profound idea for how we live. But Kastrup's ideas aren't without critics. Materialists argue he's leaning too heavily on philosophy and not enough on empirical evidence. They'd say, "Show me the data." Others might find his universal consciousness concept too abstract, almost spiritual. Though Kastrup insists it's not religious but logical. He's also been challenged on how his model accounts for individual experiences. Why do you and I have separate perspectives if we're all part of one mind? Kastrup's answer involves dissociation, like how a mind with dissociative identity disorder has multiple alters. It's compelling, but not everyone's convinced. So why should you care about Kastrup's work or the state of consciousness science? Because it touches everything. How we understand ourselves, our place in the universe, even what we believe is possible. If Kastrup's right, we're not just brains and bodies. We're expressions of a vast, interconnected consciousness. That's both humbling and empowering. For researchers, Kastrup's ideas could push science to explore consciousness in new ways, maybe bridging the gap between subjective experience and objective measurement. For the rest of us, it's a call to question our assumptions about reality. Are we just meat robots, or is there something deeper going on? Next time, we'll explore how consciousness science is intersecting with quantum physics. Spoiler alert, it's wild. Until then, I recommend checking out Kastrup's books, like Why Materialism is Baloney, or The Idea of the World. You can also find his essays and talks online. He's a great speaker, blending sharp logic with wit. That's all for today's Conscious Insight podcast. If you enjoyed this deep dive, share it with a friend, leave a review, or drop me a message with your thoughts. What do you think about Kastrup's ideas? Are we all part of one cosmic mind? Let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the mystery of consciousness.